We are back with another results video for UFC Fight Night Burns vs Brady, where we will find out which channels had the most and least correct predictions, which one were the least and most profitable, and which have the longest winning or losing streaks. But as always, we first start with the totals and Oddsmakers versus Tapology versus YouTube Predictors. On this card there were 12 fights in total. I tracked 72 channels who made 796 predictions and on average made predictions for 11.1 fights. From those 796 predictions, 557 were correct for 70% and 239 were incorrect for 30%. The favorite fighter in odds won 10 out of 12 times. And if you had placed a $100 bet for the outcome of the fight for the favorite fighter each time, you could have won $220 for an 18.4% return of investment. And on this card, only two underdogs managed to win their fight, which was Chris Padilla with plus 200 and Janal Ashmus with plus 105. The favorite in picks by the Tapology community won 9 out of 12 fights. They had picked Sigimantas Ramaska to win from Nathan Fletcher, but Nathan Fletcher won. But the rest was the same. And if you had placed a $100 bet on the favorite in picks from the Tapology community, for every fight you could have won $46 for a 3.9% return of investment. And the YouTube Predictors had the exact same favorites as the Tapology community. So the same results for them as well. For all the results shown in this video, only channels that made predictions on at least half the fights are included, so a minimum of 6 for this card. At the end of each part there will be an overview which does include all channels, no matter how many predictions they made. For least correct picks, this week at number 7 we have James Lynch and Brandon and Santino from Santino DeFranco YouTube channel. They both had 6 out of their 10 picks correct for 60%. In 6th place is Drywall with 7 out of 12 correct for 58.3%. In 5th place are Cody from the Dogger Pass podcast, Sean from the Running Mouth MMA show and Fight Fiend Forecast. All 3 at 6 out of 11 correct or 54.5% in total. In 4th place we have the Finch Chats and Home of Bets. They both had 50% correct with 6 out of 12 and 5 out of 10 correct. In 3rd place for least correct picks this week we have UFC Genie and Fight Fairy. They both had 5 out of 11 correct for 45.5%. In 2nd place we have Bet Slam with Sam. He had 5 predictions correct out of 12 for 41.7%. And in 1st place for least correct picks this week we have Baby Sharp MMA. He had 4 out of his 12 predictions correct for a 33.3% correct pick percentage. Let's now find out which channels had the most correct picks this week. In 4th place we have a total of 8 channels. All 8 of them had 10 out of 12 correct for 83.3% correct pick percentage. In 3rd place we have Rqarqs. He made a total of 10 predictions and 9 of them were correct for 90%. And in 2nd place, in alphabetical order, we have MMADataGuy, MMA Play 365, Keith Shillan from Rqarqs.com and the MMAFORTUNETELLER. All 4 had 10 out of 11 predictions correct for a correct pick percentage of 90.9%. And in 1st place for most correct picks this week, we have Kunath. He had 11 out of his 12 predictions correct for a 91.7% correct pick percentage. The only fight he predicted wrong was the fight between Matt Schnell versus Coty Dankh, where he picked Matt Schnell, who lost. But still a very good result from Kunath this week, so congratulations to him and the rest of the channels who also performed well. And here is an overview of all the channels that made predictions this week with their correct picks, their total picks and the correct pick percentage. Let's look at the top 10 of most unprofitable predictors this week. For this part of the video, we will pretend that you followed all the picks a channel made and placed a $100 bet for the outcome of each fight, no matter what level of confidence their pick was. At number 10 is James Lynch. He made 10 predictions, and if you followed all of them and placed a $100 bet on each of them, you could have lost $151 for minus 15.1% return of investment. Brandon from Santino DeFranco could have lost you $162, and Santino from the same channel could have lost you $177. In 7th place is the Finch Jets. If you placed a bet on all of his 12 predictions, you could have lost $228 for minus 19% ROI. And in 6th place for most unprofitable predictors is Fight Fiend Forecast with minus $277 on his 11 predictions. In 5th place is Home of Bets. He made 10 predictions for a loss of $294 and minus 29.4% return of investment. In 4th place is UFC Genie. He could have lost you $398 for his 11 predictions for an ROI of minus 36.2%. In 3rd place is Fight Fairy. If you followed all of her predictions, you could have lost $438 for a minus 39.8% return of investment. And in 2nd place, as the most unprofitable predictor, we have Bet Slam with Sam. He made 12 predictions, and if you followed all of his picks this week, you could have lost $470 for minus 39.2% return of investment. But in number 1 this week for the most unprofitable predictor is Baby Sharp MMA, who also had the least correct picks this week. And by following all of his 12 predictions and placing a $100 bet on each of them, you could have lost $644 for a return of investment of minus 53.6%. Now let's find out which channels could have won you the most money if you followed all of their predictions. Which ones were the most profitable predictors this week? In number 8 we have Rigo. He could have won you $322 on his 10 predictions. In 7th place we have John Kelly DFS, and with his 12 predictions he could have won you $368 for a 30.6% return of investment. And in 6th place we have MMADataGuy, MMA Play 365 and Keith Shillan from Shurdock.com. And all 3 of them made the exact same predictions. So if you followed any of those 3 channels, you could have won $391 for a 35.5% return of investment. And in 5th place we have Coty Dankh. He made 12 predictions, and if you followed all 12 of them and placed a $100 bet on each, you could have won $399 for a 33.2% return of investment. In 4th place is King of Crackdown 5095. He made 12 predictions for $470 profit and a 34.7% ROI. In 3rd place we have Angelo from We Want Picks. He also made 12 predictions, but he won a bit more with $428 profit and an ROI of 35.7%. And in 2nd place for the most profitable predictor this week we have the MMA Fortune Teller. If you followed all of his 11 predictions, you could have won $486 for a return of investment of 44.2%. And the most profitable predictor this week was Kunath, who also had the most picks correct. So if you had followed all of his picks and placed a $100 bet for the outcome of each fight, you could have won $591 for a very nice return of investment of 49.2%. So congratulations to Kunath again for being in 1st place as the most profitable predictor and the predictor with the highest correct pick percentage. And here is the overview of all the channels that made predictions this week with their total money won or lost and their return of investment. And for the last part of this video, we will take a look at all the channels that are on a losing and a winning streak. All of the channels in this list are shown in alphabetical order. You can see for each week how much money they've lost, and in the most right column you can see the total losses. So on a 3-week losing streak we have these 14 channels, and out of those 14 a total of 9 are on a 4-week losing streak. But only 3 of those 9 are on a 5-week losing streak, which are Glenn Butt, Paul from the Rqarqs podcast and UFC Fights. And both Paul from Rqarqs and UFC Fights are both on a 6-week losing streak. But only UFC Fights is on a 7-week losing streak and even an 8-week losing streak, unfortunately for him. But I took a look at his data and 9 weeks ago he managed to make a very big profit of $812. So all is not lost for him and he can still come back with 1 or 2 very good weeks, since his losses per week are mostly on the lower side. Now we will look at the longest winning streaks. These 14 channels are on a 2-week winning streak, and out of those 14, 6 managed to be on a 3-week winning streak. But out of those 6, only 2 managed to be on a 4-week winning streak, which are Kunath and Once Upon a Slugfest. But in those 3 weeks, Kunath manages to make almost 3 times as much profit as Once Upon a Slugfest. But Once Upon a Slugfest is the only one who managed to be on a 5-week winning streak. So congratulations to him for having the longest winning streak. That was it for the results of this week. I hope you all enjoyed it and found it informative. And I hope to see you back this Thursday, where we will go over UFC 306 at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Thank you all so much for watching and I hope you have a great week.